Well, I definitely slowed down and took quite a while to get through a few things this month, but overall, I feel like it was pretty successful. Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about everything that I read in the month of August and going through. And yeah, this one was, I had several different buddy reads that I was doing, which took some time, and some of them which I was quite slow on, as well as I was working on doing some patron picks and just finishing up stuff that I wanted to get to. The first thing I will talk about, and I still need to film a video talking about this book and or the trilogy, but I did finish The Thousandfold Thought by R. Scott Baker. This is the third book in Prince of Nothing, and I really took my time with this. I was reading this for a really good chunk of the month actually, because I just, with these ones, I prefer to just take my time, read physically, and I did really enjoy that. That is, I think, my least favorite out of the trilogy, which from what it sounds like is not uncommon. But I actually think the ending was very satisfying for what it was. I know everybody says that it's just kind of setting up the next series, which I am very eagerly awaiting to get to and hope to start on soon, just because I know it'll take me a while to get through them, because again, I usually take my time. But yeah, so I had a really good time with this series. As much as you can say that it always feels weird describing it, but just what is done in the trilogy and knowing what more is to come, I'm yeah, very eager to get to those. So I'll have a video talking probably about the trilogy, the last book, and everything coming out here pretty soon. So we will go from there. Then next up, we have All the Seas of the World by Guy Gavriel Kay. This was a buddy read that I was doing with Ben and Zamar, and we've ended up buddy reading several Guy Gavriel Kay books and pretty much always have a good time. And I kind of expect at this point to enjoy pretty much anything I pick up from Guy Gavriel Kay. Maybe not Fiona Var, but we'll see when we get there. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is definitely, I talked about in the review I did, it's definitely a sequel to A Brightness Long Ago. It didn't hit quite as hard, but it was just really good. It built on some characters, had some new characters, just did that classic Guy Gavriel Kay exploration of ideas and themes in a just super engaging way. And I just feel like whenever I read a Guy Gavriel Kay book, it's like it's become my new comfort read. I just sink right into the story and I enjoy it. And it's just I continue to have a great time. I'm gonna have to figure out, I comment, I think there too, like my actual like list, like ranking, because it's really hard to do, because I've just enjoyed all of his books immensely for the most part. um so it's been a good time. That's a good problem to have, I feel like. Then another buddy read, An Alchemy of Masks and Mirrors by Curtis Craddock. This is the first book in the Risen Kingdoms trilogy, and this one unfortunately was a bit underwhelming. I think we were all a little bit underwhelmed. I did this with Tori and Andrew, and this felt like it had some potential. Some of the ideas I liked, but it really felt like it was trying to do too many things, have too many elements going on, and it just felt a little bit shallow at some points with some of the characters and the motivations. And I think some of it's just that this was a debut, and the author is figuring some things out, but it did some cool things. I think there was the world and some of the magic setup was inventive and really interesting, but I just found myself that the plot felt a bit convoluted at parts, and the characters just felt a little lacking in depth, uh, like I said with that. And so it's not one that I was crazy about. I still may give a shot to book two at some point, but it's going to be pretty low priority at this point because I just was not in. And it's a series I meant to try for a long time. I've had the second and the third book actually for many years at this point, so I'm glad I at least finally tried it. I think if you like a little bit more, easy reading fantasy, that's especially the mystery elements, I think, are some of the things that were done the best here. So if you like a mystery element there, I think it's still worth checking out, but ultimately not one I was super enthused with. So it's the month had its ups and downs for sure. And then another buddy read, this is the one that took me quite forever, The Wayfarer Redemption by Sarah Douglas. This one is, I didn't really know a whole lot about, and I do need to do film review for this one yet, as was one of the few I have not. This is your 90s female author fantasy, which tends to be an niche of mine, and this one was no exception, although it was quite different from some of the other ones here with it. This opens up with there's this big prophecy that's talked about, and we're following characters with mostly Axis, and that's this one in the original Australia release was called Battle Axe, and it's the Axis trilogy. It's named after this character, and Faraday, and things that are happening there. But this is more so, instead of, it's not very character focused, it's very plot focused of a story, and also there's a lot of really interesting world building. I think that's in there as well too. So the world is what really pulled me in immediately, and then a lot of just kind of cool action stuff. This is definitely the type though you have to be okay just kind of accepting what happens, because there's not always reasons other than like because of the prophecy for a lot of the things that are happening. But it's yeah, you're following Axis, who's the battle axe, and the leader of the axe wielders, and he is the bastard son of a very important woman, Rika, and her son, who is legitimately born Bornhelm. They have this big rivalry going on, and then Faraday ends up sort of between them, although it doesn't really do. It doesn't really do the whole love triangle thing, but she's in a noble daughter, and she ends up having a part to play in the prophecy, as well as Axis and Mordheld and many others. But there's lots of really cool action as well too, because there's Gorgrail the Destroyer, which is a super awesome name, who is trying to come and take over, and so lots of cool stuff there with it. I'll be talking in more detail about it when I do my review, but it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I don't know why it took me forever. It just was, for some reason I kept, even though it feels very quick reading, mostly short chapters, and I was enjoying it. It's just one that I think as I slowed down toward the end of the month and just didn't get through very much of it. And so it took a little bit, but I did enjoy it, and we'll be continuing to book 2. I'm not sure when, but hopefully kind of soonish, because I'm really curious to see where this one goes. And then continuing with, I've been doing my reread of The Demon Cycle by Peter V. Brett with the Desert Spear, which I had a really, really great time with. I ended up doing pretty much just audio on that one, because I had other stuff that I only was reading physically. And so did that there, and it's been, when I originally read the series, I read it physically, so I've never done the audio before, so it's been interesting experiencing it in that different way. But yeah, I continue to really enjoy this. This is the book that focuses largely for the first like half or so on Amin Jardir, who is a kind of mentioned but not super important character in the first book, but becomes very important later on. So we're doing a lot of the backstory there, as well as on another character, Rena, to an extent. But it's just, yeah, it's one of those things where normally I feel like you have this book 2 and it's focusing on a different character. It's mostly annoying, but like those parts are so good that once we get back to the other characters, I'm almost like, man, I don't even know if I want to do that. I want to keep hanging out with this character. And so I continue to have a really great time with my reread here, and I'll be doing the 3rd book in September at some point as well, and getting through there. Probably a mix of physical and audio, because I have liked the audio with it as well, and so it's kind of nice experiencing books in a different format than I did the first time as well. And then I finally got to the real story, the Gap into Conflict, the first book in the Gap cycle by Stephen R. Donaldson. That's right, the book and or series that everyone always tells me that I need to read whenever I talk about Donaldson. And I had some mixed thoughts on this. This is one of those books I didn't rate it on Goodreads, because I have no idea how to rate this. But I am going to be also, I actually, no, I did film a review for this. It's just not out yet. Kind of talking over my thoughts on it, because it is a very controversial book, even for Donaldson. It's because of what it does. And I think there's some interesting ideas here, but overall, it was one where it was like really hard to narrow down how I feel about it because of some different reasons. That one I talked a lot more about in the review, so watch out for that this week. That will be coming. But yeah, it's just there's there's a lot of thoughts that I have on it, so we'll definitely talk about those in that video. But then otherwise, a couple of things I don't have physical copies of, but I did read The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez. I was also pretty mixed on this one. This one was me kind of continuing on doing another one of the secret favorite reads, and that was Evie, one of her favorites, and I think she was glad that I didn't hate it. But I ended up about 3 stars on it, because it's one of those books that I could really appreciate some of what it was doing, but execution-wise, it just did not work for me very well. Very much one of those books, because of the stylistic choices. I think it's going to be, if it clicks for you, I can see why people love it. I can see people hating it. I was kind of in the middle, because I really try to approach that way, and I'm like, hey, I don't really like some of the stylistic choices, but I really do appreciate what's being done. And so I get why that one is very popular. It just did not land as well for me. I did have a review talking much more about that if you're curious there. And then I'm working on some patron picks, including Of Sea and Shadow by Will White. And I'm pretty early on in this one. I was doing the audiobook of this initially, but then I ended up, this was during my kind of slowdown, and so I was trying to devote most of my time to some other stuff, and I think I want to switch to the narrator for this is Peter Kenny, and he's really good, and I don't know why, but I was just struggling to like pay attention to him. So I'm just going to switch to ebook, and then I just didn't have time to get more into it. So I'm very early on, but this is the one that this is the book one of like the one side, and then there's the shadow side. I think that's really interesting. So you're seeing like two different POVs of the same kind of story from the like the good guy and the bad guy, I think. So I'm very curious. I'm planning to hopefully do the first one and the shadow side shortly after this one. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm curious. So far it's been very easy reading. And then Speaks the Nightbird by Robert McCammon, and this was the one I've been working on audio, and I think I'm about halfway through. Phenomenal audio performance on this one here too. I will mention works really, really well. And I don't do a ton of historical fiction. I've heard really good things about this author and this book and some of his other stuff as well. But yeah, it is very, very good. And it's at some points it seems a little overly long so far, and I have a couple of nitpicks, but it's been a very immersive story, doing really, really well. And I know it's not going to, but I kept wondering. I'm like, are we gonna do the turn to horror or do the turn to fantasy? And it sounds like it's not going to, but there are definitely some stuff where you can see there that the author has written horror, and will throw in elements like that. I think so makes sense. But yeah, enjoying that one so far as well. So I will be working on finishing those two out. Those are what I'm working on now here at the end of the month, and then starting some short stories for September, because I'm planning on doing a lot of short stories in September, like as I did in that video. But that's really it for this month of August. So let me know what you were reading and/or your thoughts on any of these things or stuff that you're looking forward to, down in the comments. I always love hearing from you. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Patreon if you want to support what I do, as well as the Wizard of the Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether any of these books, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. And of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.